What is on my desk? Today's video will be about this. I was going to continue with Maisie, but I haven't made enough hair to actually have a video. I mean, moving forward with her would be making her clothes. I have stitched some of her hair on, and she is technically on my desk. I'm going to say that this area that extends past this little bit of embroidery here is my sewing table desk, we'll say. So we will be panning around to see what's over there, and we're going to start with this seemingly huge mess. It's really not a huge mess. It is a variety of items that I use either once in a while or all the time. And I'm also going to pick a pattern. I want to do something that I have had a huge amount of comments on, and I feel pretty strongly that I should do another one, only because with the number of comments that I have received and the fact that I have the fabric and that I really want to do one anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull my pattern stash around and we will check out what is in my pattern box. Okay. So this is a pattern that I made to wear to my youngest daughter's wedding. I wore the Palazzo Pants, and I had another pattern for a similar top. I just didn't want to wear one that zipped up the back. So I used this pattern for the pants and a separate pattern for the top, and it was a wonderful outfit. I still have. But that's not what I want to do. And this we know we just made. I'm still working on some of these items. I have some fabric. I'm trying to kind of come up with some ideas. I know for sure that this is going to be something I'm going to make for the holidays. This I just made right here. I keep saying just made. I need to be more specific. I will try to link the videos below this one in the description box below. And if you're on a mobile phone, right there is that little mark. And when you tap that, the description box opens up. So you can click that, and then you will see all the information that was typed up, written up for that particular video. Okay, and that works for every video on YouTube that you would watch. It's not just my videos. Okay, so this is one that I'm thinking about redoing. I get a lot of questions about this particular pattern, the top piece in particular, piece number 7. It's a little confusing, so that one I'm going to leave out. This I did do a video. We did View E. This I've done. None of the dogs here really wear clothes, so I don't really see myself doing that one again. This I've done. I've done this and this. This I did and then wore it out, and I have my little pattern weights right there. I've not made this one, so I'll set that aside. This I've made a couple times for my sister. I sent her some pajama pants. It's the Simplicity 3971. I'm sure there's a video of that. This is a pattern that I've had for a very long time, and I've wanted to make so many times. So it's honestly the skirt portion of this that I have just, I mean, look how luscious that is. And I may still yet make it. I'm not really sure, but oh, I'd love to. Okay, that is not really. Okay, and here is a baby bishop, or the bishop by Pat Garrettson. I've made, you can see, this is before I figured out how to take care of my patterns. This was probably about 30 years ago. And I have made Marty, Anna Kate, Alexandra, I think there's another bishop, but not in this envelope, that I've made. But I've made multiples of each of those. Sorry. Bama's upset because there's a dog walking by the house. Okay, and if you might remember, I made this for my sister. Okay, so it's been a minute. I had a dog meltdown happening, had to deal with. So this is the pattern that I use to make my pattern weights. It is 8, 8, 8. And that's inches, not centimeters. And then what happens is you fold. So if you create these lines right in the center and you fold up each, so the way I did it is I folded up so the point was there, and then unfolded, and then folded up so the point was there, and then unfolded, and then did the same with the third point. Okay, and then you just take all of those equal sides and you stitch, stitch, and stitch. I only stitched mine up to, and I can kind of still see where my fold lines are. And I mean, I just kind of ran with this. There was a pattern piece in that Simplicity pattern envelope, but it was a different type. It was based off of the same design. However, the instructions were different than what I'm giving you. So I left mine like this, and I used this to turn this to the proper, this would be right sides. So I stitched and stitched and stitched, but I left it open and then turned it so that it was correctly turned out. And then I had that little tiny opening at the top, and I filled it with BBs in the bottom and polyfill on top of the BBs. I did not weigh the BBs, I just, each one, basically I kind of just tested it by my hand to see what it felt like. And then I just tied this closed with a piece of ribbon, like so. I mean, the fabric obviously smooches up a little bit better. And I just tied it closed with some ribbon. And then if I needed to, I could take out what I had put into it if this tore or something happened to this, then I could remove the products on the inside and make a new one and replace the products in the new one. So that's why I did mine that way. I wouldn't have to do a whole lot of unstitching. So there's that. Then this is all children's clothing, children's clothing. This is an embroidery project that I did. I shared it with my oldest daughter down in Oregon, and she did it. And my youngest daughter has expressed interest, but she's in college, so it's likely that she's just going to wait until she has more time, maybe over the Christmas holidays. I don't know what this pattern is. Butterick 4343. Let's find out. Why is it not in an envelope? Butterick pattern number 4343. Yes, I made this for one of my daughters. I'm thinking it was my oldest. Continue looking through. This is a heart template that I used for a bag, a little tote bag that I made. This is the skirt pattern that I made out of a vintage blue corduroy printed with daisies. This one up in just a minute. And this is another PJ pant pattern that I used to make for my sister. Was it the shorts or the pants? Left back. That's the shorts. Okay. All right. It was this one. Okay. And then I also created a pocket pattern piece, which is in the envelope. Okay, so I apparently have put the other pattern that I wanted to look at in a different box. So I'm going to repack this box real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back with my other box of patterns. Some things are not patterns that are in here. This is another heart pattern piece that I used. I believe it was for that tote bag. I don't know why I separated them, but it's okay. This is a mess. However, I think I found what I was looking for. Not that. Okay, so this is a very cute little pattern, and I have been seriously thinking about doing this. I would not be using Waverly fabric, but I love the idea of little fabric buckets, and they have twill handles. I think it would just be really sweet. I believe this is the square version down here. I know that's really glary, sorry about that. So, yeah. Okay, it says we need plastic liners, so yeah, we'll look into that maybe. This is a pattern that I bought a long time ago and I've never made. This I purchased because I had thought I was going to make this to go underneath the jacket that went with the Palazzo pants for the wedding. I was looking at making this, and I found out I just didn't have time, so I went to a local like a dress shop, and I purchased an appropriately made, designed, and totally wearable camisole to wear underneath the jacket. So I don't think I might have cut it out. I think it had like two pieces. It's like one, you know, one at the front and the back, and that was it. So there's that. This McCall's is a shirt that I honestly can't believe I still have this pattern. Interestingly, I was just looking at shirt patterns, and I should have come in here first because I want to make a shirt with a collar. I want to make a shirt with long sleeves. So I have two. I have this McCall's and I have this Simplicity. So this has all of the things that I want. The long sleeves, the collar, a button-up placket. So I think instead of purchasing a new one, I'm going to go with this. And weirdly, when I was looking at patterns today, I was thinking about changing out the placket for like something quirky. So I'm going to leave this one out because this is the one I've decided to do. I like this because it looks like a jacket. If you did it in a you know, in a heavier fabric, a corduroy or something, you'd have a little jacket. Okay, and then the last one in here, is a children's corner that I clearly had already purchased the fabric for. It looks like I've gotten it ready to go. I have buttons, I have everything. It's I think it's called Louise. So That's what it looks like. It's just a little jumper that can either go over a blouse or be worn without a blouse underneath. It's very cute. I love Children's Corner patterns. Used to sell them in my shop. They went off the shelves like hotcakes. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to put the baby bishop, or no, the baby outfit back. I am going to put this, I don't know. Let's leave that one out too and talk about that. This is that outfit for the wedding, and this is the pattern I'm going to make for myself. Okay. Alright, so at the moment we have in the discovery video of what is on my desk, we have added 2 patterns. We're going to talk about these 2 later. Right now it's just about what is on this sewing table desk combination. So I have some Lavender Calendula salve. It is from the Little Lavender Farm down in Dundee, Oregon. It was part of a Mother's Day gift from my daughter and her husband, my son-in-law, down in Oregon. And as you may or may not know, I am really particular about keeping my hands moisturized when I'm in the sewing room. I cannot abide when my skin, which I suffer from terribly dry skin, and I have to wear a lot of this type of product, whether it's a lotion or a cream or a salve. This is a salve. It smells fantastic. I really, really love stuff like this. I do have Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day hand lotion in the basil scent. I love it. It's on the other side. We'll talk about that too. Okay, so moving on. Lotion for my sewing machines. I have some Singer all-purpose machine oil. I keep that either on or near or in this desk. So I'm going to put it back. When you have something like this, just make sure that it's really closed tight. And if you need to, just flip it over and kind of do a test. Make sure it's not leaking, and then you can put it in a drawer for safekeeping. Well, what else do I have? So here are 2 Wright's pre-cut bias tape, and these are both extra wide. Why would I purchase these if I can make my own? The reason that I like to have some of this around is, for one thing, it's 3 yards. That's 3 yards of 1/2 inch wide bias tape in a solid that I don't have to make. And in my personal opinion, it's no different. It, in fact, is probably better than what I would be able to produce. But in the time it takes me to open that package and pull this out and say to myself, oh, that would be such cute trim. Okay, I know I have 3 yards because if I had taken any of it off, I would have made a note out here. So I'm going to put it back in and put it away like so. I'm fiddling around. I'm kind of being slow on purpose, but not really. I'm going about the speed that I would go probably if I were doing this for real. Okay, I've got it back in the package. I wouldn't have had time, in that amount of time that it took me to open the package, pull it out, look at it, put it back in the package, seal the package. I wouldn't have had any inches, much less 3 yards made. So a solid is, for me, always a good deal. The only time that I am not thrilled with pre-packaged, pre-made bias tape is the metallic. I feel like any kind of material that is specialty. You probably should make it yourself. I believe this is made from Lame. I think it looks like Lame. Yeah, the only reason that I have this is because these were purchased at a thrift store as a set, and the whole thing was under $1. So I thought to myself, you know, I'll come up with something. It just says 58% metallic, 42% nylon. I think those are the ingredients for Lame. But if you were doing, say, costumes for a high school play, there's your sparkle. Easy, doesn't take any time to make. It's already made. You got 3 yards. Now, if I need bias and I need it in a print or a specific color or a specific length, and I can make it myself, then by all means I will. But I like to have the solid already made up on hand. I think it's a great idea, and they are often sold at thrift stores in, like, I know Value Village in Everett has on a back wall in a plastic Ziploc bag on a hook on a pegboard. And I think the same is true of the Everett Goodwill off of Everett Mall Way, but it could be that they're in bins on top of the fabric aisle. So if you're in this area and you want to go to those 2 stores, that's probably where you will find those types of items. Moving right along, the next thing I have is an item that I don't use all the time, but when I need it, I'm glad that I have it. And what this is, I honestly can't remember the name. I've never been able to remember the name, but it is a sticky tape that's not too sticky. So if you were stitching, let's say, a zipper onto anything, a bag, a shirt, jacket, pair of pants, whatever you're stitching a zipper onto that is a normal zipper size, like a nylon zipper that is a traditional size. If it's a pair of pants, it's probably going to be like 4 to 5 inches long. If it's a bag, it's going to be about 7 inches long, you know, somewhere in that range. This is such a great product. So I put this down on the side of my fabric that I will be stitching my zipper to first, and I put my zipper on it and I stitch. There, you peel this off, and both, like I said, both sides are sticky. So the wood side that I have this attached to is the fabric, and then this would be the zipper. And you place your zipper right along there and you stitch. You don't have to pin your zipper in place. Sewing machine needles go through this tape. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can get you zoomed down there where you can actually see it. It has little, okay, let me grab something to focus with. There. I think you can see it looks like snake skin. So all of those little tiny, tiny perforations make it easy for your typical sewing machine needle to just go right through. And you don't have to worry about taking it off. It'll either disappear over time, it won't show, it won't be a problem. Next up, I have my Frixion Pen. It's never far from me. I use it a lot in the sewing room. It wasn't developed for sewing, but has gained a lot of popularity with quilters. And actually, quite frankly, most people who sew have used one or are aware of them. They are erasable ink, so it's the friction and the heat of the process of erasing that is why they are considered a heat erasable pen. But irons, of course, you know, your ironing appliance would definitely fall into the category of heat. So let's just see what happens when we have something that we're going to write on with this ink. Okay. Now if I take this eraser on the end, okay, pretty cool. The thing is it's not truly heat erasable. The bonded ink that erases with heat has to be bonded to a regular gel or other type of ink. I know there are felt tip, erasable, friction erasable pens, erasable pens. So the whole point is it will come back. It will reappear in cold. So if you want to do some fun experiments with your kids, write a message, erase it with your iron, and then pop that, whatever you wrote it on, into a freezer. And when they pull it out of the freezer, there will be a visible message for them. It won't be blue, but they'll be able to see it. It's kind of cool. Okay, so the other thing I always have near or on this desk is a seam ripper, or 3. I need them. I use them all the time. I may not use this to rip a seam. I might use this to open a buttonhole or pull up a thread that I need to pull to gather up with. Sometimes when you run across a piece of fabric like a boucle or something, if you can't quite get that thread, you can use a tool like this. So that's usually here. Okay, another thing I use all the time are my jewelry pliers. They help me turn little tiny pieces of sewn together tubing apart. Or if I can't, even on my camera easel, if I can't turn something, I will often use these. If I'm sewing and I can't get the needle to pull through, I will pull through with these. So they're very handy. I use them all the time. And I also have my really sharp little teeny tiny thread snippers. I try to keep these on my pin / needle / scissor keep, so that I made last year. And if you're wondering, if you've been following me, thank you so much. Very much appreciated, and so huge welcome to my new 5 subscribers. Thank you so much. What I was going to say is the inside of this, the product that this is stuffed with, is my leftover thread and little teeny tiny pieces of cabbage and thread from when I sew on my sewing machine, when I snip those threads. This happens to be full of little tiny pieces of yarn because I've been doing the hair for Maisie, but I don't want any of this in the landfill. So I have just a huge conglomeration of items that I don't throw in the trash. I put them in here. They do make a great stuffing. I'm already up to here on this. That's quite a bit. What is that? About 4 inches worth. And the thing about it is it's heavier than polyfill. It is clearly more economical than polyfill because I've already paid for it. So I'm getting dual duty. I don't have to go buy polyfill if I have this. So I had mentioned in the past that, for example here, one of the things that you might be concerned about is that when you use the types of products that are in this, the thread, the little tiny pieces of cabbage, yarn, little bits and pieces of things, these items can look lumpy and bumpy. So if you don't want them to look lumpy and bumpy, you can use some press-on, fusible, iron-on fleece to just line the inside of your fabric, and then stuff that with this. And that iron-on fleece will give a smooth outward appearance to whatever it is that you happen to be stuffing. So if you're doing a pillow or a pincushion or a doll, any of those items, just line your fabric. If you feel like you need to, you can just line your fabric with those fusible interfacings or fleeces, and that will smooth out the surface of the product that you are adding that to. Okay. What? Oh, I have thread. Of course, most of us who sew will have thread. I try to keep myself in a good place with a variety of colors. This I purchased on Amazon. It is basically the colors that I use for almost everything. I don't typically sew with jewel tones, but then I'm not going to say that I don't. Every now and then you find a piece of fabric that, I don't care who you are, you can't resist. So if you find that you have found a piece of fabric that you don't normally stitch with, you might want to go look at your thread and make sure you don't need to purchase a new spool of thread. Next, I have my best cutting implements. So we'll start with the blue Snail pinking shears. I don't really know very much about blue Snail other than the fact that I saw these. What is going on here? Okay. Wow. I saw these on sale at Amazon and I had to have them. I literally needed to have a pair of good working pinking shears, and they were just rave reviews. I will tell you, I appreciate the padded handles because they're harder. Pinking shears for me are a little bit harder to manipulate. The thumb piece is quite large and my thumb doesn't really want to lift by itself. That's a lot of weight coming up here, a lot of pressure. So if this was not cushioned, I think it would be miserable to use. So I'm really thankful for that. All right, I keep these up on that hanging shelf. This is my newest pair of fabric scissors. They are Kai brand. That's K-A-I. They are made in Japan. Let me see if I can, good Lord, right there maybe. Okay. They're probably the sharpest pair of scissors I have ever owned. They are bent handle Dressmaker shears. They are a size 8. I think it said, let's look. Nope, they're 9. This is the little packet that they were attached to. So they're a 9-inch, 230 millimeter. The identifying number is N5230, and they are made of high carbon stainless steel with vanadium. I'm not real familiar with vanadium, but on the back you can see all the different types of Kai. Although I will tell you, I did go to their website and I think they may have an even bigger selection than what is represented on the back of this. I hung on to this because I wanted to make sure that they were going to work. They have truly outperformed what I thought they were going to do. I'm really pleased. And again, they hang where I can get to them. And then of course my Rotary Cutters. This one is my newest, and you know, we could do a whole series on Rotary Cutters. They are handy, they are sharp. They are wonderful, they're dangerous. So with caution, I will recommend that you have one. But if you don't want to have something this dangerous in your sewing room, I'm going to say I don't blame you. It took me a long time to break down and finally purchase one, but I do like it. Okay, I'm going to try to adjust the light here. See if that doesn't help a little bit. All right. This is my point turner. It looks very primitive. It is probably one of my favorite tools. It came to me with the hole in the handle. It is beveled and rounded on this end, and it is beveled and pointed on the other end. So it is not quite 5 inches. The next thing on my sewing machine desk is my snap setter. This is the snap setter tool right here, and this is literally a high rated product, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it came with massively good high ratings. Okay, so when I ordered this, it was all in one kit. These are mine. I was using these as a way to determine if I was doing it correctly. So as you can see, I applied a black solid to a silver ring. And there's that. Okay, so we can do it again. Now we want the side that has the hole to be this side that the male snap part will rest in. And this is a male snap part right here. Okay. All right, we want to turn it over, and it goes into this with the hole in it, like so. Yeah, you got to have the claw. The claw is what holds that snap in place. So I'm going to use, these are all the center pieces. Okay. Okay, so I found that if you put the part with the claw on the bottom, you're going to have better luck. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to squeeze this fabric as tightly as we can. You're going to feel it go squeeze and then chunk, and it will pop down. And then you just pull this off, like so. But you have to have a counterpart for this to fit into. And we're going to have to decide, okay. So now I need the part of the snap that doesn't have anything on it, it just has a hole in the middle. And I'm going to put that on the side that has the hole in the middle. Now, one thing that you can do to ensure that it's going to fit is remove this plastic piece right here and put your zipper or your snap part right on there like that, and then put this right on the top, and that will hold it in place. Then you can flip this over and you can put a backing piece, which is not the ring, unless you just decide you want it to be the ring. Okay, so I'm putting a yellow solid because I don't know I'll be using yellow. We'll put that there, and then I have to decide, okay, so I'm going to have to turn this over. Let's see, yeah, I think that's right. I think I have it right, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to squeeze, and we should feel it snap down on top. Oh, unless I did it wrong. Nope, I did not do it wrong. Except that I may, oh no, I got it right. Okay, so this is the ring and the two-part right here. So there's that one and the ring. And then here is the part that meets up with this part right there and the solid. So now we'll just snap those two together, and we'll do a strength test and see how well it's holding on. Pretty good. I didn't feel anything give. Okay, so there's that. All right. Of course, I have a sewing machine on my sewing table, and I also have a sewing machine table on my sewing table. So this is a great doodad. I'm going to have to move this out of the way. That fits right onto the arm of your sewing machine, and it will snap into place if you have it lined up correctly. There we go. And it extends out the arm of your machine, as well as giving you some extra width to hold your fabric up as you go through and stitch. This is the one that I made, one of the two that I made with the Simplicity pattern. Okay. Okay, this fabric right here is for children, but I have fallen in love with it, with these little animals. And I don't know why, I mean, everybody, I think if you love animals, this would appeal to you. So I have the fat quarters. Okay, and then of course I have the jelly roll that corresponds, coordinates, matches this over here. I have dust off that I do use. I use it a lot to just keep the dirt and lint away from here. I will on occasion use it on George, but these cans they get very cold and they could harm your sewing machine. Okay, I have a lint roller. These do not leave my side. They are fantastic. I use one on my ironing board. I use them when I'm sewing. You can definitely pick up, you know, fabric that is on your sewing machine mat. I mean, they're just great. So that goes back there. And then of course I have my Hazel bag. My Hazel bag is a bag that I basically decided to call a Hazel bag because if you know the history of the hazel tree, the real quick and dirty version of that is that it could hold a lot, and people would tie their possessions up into the branches of a hazel tree. There are many, many, many other interpretations, but that's the one that I read and remember. Okay, so I have like a little notebook with paper in it. I have some lace tape. I have some ribbon that I started to gather. I have little bits of fabric. I have some floche, a rotary cutter blade that has been used, and I know it's been used because I remember taping it. These go to a shadow box that I ordered, and it is in use out on my entryway table. That goes in there. I always try to keep a roll of Scotch tape in here. I have thimbles. I have half-done projects, marking chalks, cloth, measuring tape. I have that on the top. Some other marking pens. I use Elmer's glue a lot when placing things. I mean, the list is just enormous. There's another marking pencil. I don't know, just massive amounts of stuff in here. All right, there's all of those things. And then I got two, oh, well, before I get into the books, this is just a skewer, and I use it to focus the camera and point to items that I'm sewing when I need to kind of help with the focus issue, and I keep it in my Hazel bag. So The Gardener Says was a book from my daughter Jessica and her husband on Mother's Day, and it's just quotes. It's very pretty, very cute. I'm probably going to do some embroidery hands in a video very soon, and here we go. And yes, I did say hands. So anyway, it's a wonderful book. My oldest daughter and her husband gave me this book, Memories Are Made of This, Mom, Tell Me Your Story Please, and it's just a place in the book on a number of pages to write down your thoughts as you would write them down. I mean, in a current timeline, or you can write them from the perspective of your age at the time that the event happened to you. So if, let's just say you rode a roller coaster for the first time as a 5-year-old, you might want to write it from the perspective of a 5-year-old. Or you might want to write it as an adult who made it through that traumatic period and lived to tell the tale. But the book gives you that option. So those are on my sewing desk. And then if we whip around here, let's see, there's that. I have a package of heavyweight fusible interfacing. This fabric right here is for a project that I have got out in the dining room. This is some spoonflower fabric, and I am going to recover a little footstool. I have all the parts now, so I just have to do it. I'm going to put that over there. Of course, this is yarn from which I am making hair for Maisie. Okay. Oh, this is BBs. I use these for weighting my projects. But this is the one that I tend to get the most questions about. I want to use these fabrics. So when I first thought about it, I was thinking it would be kind of fun to make the big bag. That's the only one I have not made yet. I've made this one and I've made the little one. So I've made the medium about 4 times and I made the little one once. So I think if I'm answering the question of how to install the top, then I'm not really going to have to focus too much on the fabric. And if I want to, I can take this jelly roll and make my fabric. I think it would be fun. That is something I'm seriously considering. I just don't know. I love this so much that it's one of those fabrics that I'm like reluctant to open and do anything with. Isn't that silly? So meanwhile, back at the ranch, this is the one that's compelling me the most. I'm really kind of thinking I'm going to do it. I had originally thought that I would do a tote with a multitude of zippers on it because I feel like we need to have a zipper tutorial, but this one only has one in the pattern and I don't think I need to do any more. I may change my mind about that as we go. But if we do the larger one, I need to go ahead and say as a disclaimer, I won't be using a solid print fabric for this. I am going to build my fabric from this, meaning I'm going to go ahead and open this now, and There we go. Okay, so as you can tell, these pre-cuts in the jelly roll are the companion and matching fabrics to the fat quarters here. So we have fox. Looks like there are 4. We have what I'm going to call raindrops. I don't know why they remind me of raindrops, but maybe they're supposed to be mushrooms, but I think they're raindrops. So we have 4 of those, and then we have little gray mushrooms. There are 4 of those. We have the little Aztec-y stripes, 4 of those, and then we have Fox and Friends, and there are 4 of those. So if these are 2.5 inches, let's see. Yes, they are perfect at 2.5. And one thing to note when you're buying a pre-cut jelly roll, sometimes they will have a little sawtooth. It looks like a very fine pinked edge, and that can make or break your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you might, if you have one with those and you're going to be very strict with yourself about that 1/4 inch, you might have to either allow for it with some math or cut them off. And then, of course, that would adjust the size of your jelly roll strips. So let's take a look at the pattern pieces. To my knowledge, I don't recall if I have cut out the large size. I've used medium. I know there are a few that were, I think, accidentally cut out for large, but this, okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through and figure out what the large pieces are. Thankfully, they are all folded correctly, so with the numbers facing out, I should be able to quickly figure out what pieces I need on page 1 of my instructions. Well, let's see. Okay, so the guide drawing is just a simple one drawing, and the reason for that is every one of the bags looks the same. It's just a different size. Okay, so for the large bag, we need, I'm going to look right here where it tells us what sizes. These are the piece numbers, and then off to the side in parentheses we have this size. So I'm going to take care of that. We are going to need piece 15 is a large, so you can see front pocket large. Piece 16 is the front and back of the large. So I'm looking for piece number 16, which is right there. Okay, 17 is the side large. 18 is the inside pocket for large. 19 is the front and the back lining for large. And 20 is the top. And this one has not been cut out. Large. So 7 is the one that I've used for small, and the top is 14 for medium. Okay. And then the strap, I think, is set. The strap is 3. So let's go ahead. There it is right there. And that's the same for all 3 bags. Okay. piece number 10. Oh, okay. Now I am going to, I don't want to confuse anyone by starting this project today. And when I say start a project, I mean I'm going to go over what we're going to be doing each step of the way. And the reason I do that is because if you are sewing something, oftentimes you'll go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 tells you now add buckram, and you didn't buy buckram. So if we know ahead of time before we even begin, just by simply reading through here what we're going to need, then we can take care of all of that before we actually start the project. Now weirdly, this pattern actually does call for buckram. I'm not going to use it, but on the back of the envelope, underneath the what you're going to need for each size bag. So there's the small and the medium and the large. If you look through here, it's going to tell you you are going to need buckram. You're going to need 42 inches wide, and you're going to need 5/8 of a yard of that. You are going to need 5/8 of a yard of fusible fleece, and you're going to need 18 inches, 20 inches, and 3 3/4 yards of fusible interfacing. You are going to need contrast 4, contrast 3, contrast 2, contrast 1, and for your basic bag, you're going to need 5/8 of a yard. So gathering up all of your supplies, you're going to need a zipper in size 12. You're going to need a size 12 zipper for the top, and then anything else that you want to add. For example, on this particular bag, I'm going to add 2 things that are not part of this pattern. They're the same thing, but they're going to be 2 of them. One is an inside keychain that is attached to the inside of the bag, and the other one is an outside keychain that is attached to the outside of the bag. So whether I use them for keys or not, they will be there. I don't know if you're familiar with the way new cars are working, but the keys are like almost superfluous. You just have to have them to be in the vehicle, otherwise it'll have a fit. So it's just kind of weird. But anyway, my plan for this bag is I'm going to use these fabrics in a different way. I think I will use 1 or 2 for the lining. Maybe. I might just use something completely different. These I am going to strip piece. I'm looking forward to making the McCall's Fashion Accessories M5822 one more time in the large size. I haven't done that one yet. And I could use a larger bag. I have several tote bags that I just adore, but they don't have a zipper top and they're not structured. And I love the way this little rounded side piece forces this bag to have some structure. It also, in my opinion, negates the need for buckram. So if you really want a stiff cloth bag, feel free to use it. If you cannot find buckram, I would suggest that you go to the arts and crafts section of any of your favorite stores, Joann, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. They have that plastic, it's got holes in it, and you can tie yarn. I think people used to do needlepoint on them. They made coasters and things like that. It will do the same thing. So I would look for that. I'll try to remember to pop a picture of what I'm talking about on the screen right here so that you'll be able to see what I'm referring to. Okay, so let's see. We did what's on my desk. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not already subscribed, please consider doing so. We would love to have you join us. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!